in, yes, sir. Pretty pleased you understand the protocol as well.
Okay, absolutely. Protocol. My name is Jack Brown. I just turned 45 a couple weeks ago. I trade 2022 model, discount premium OTE. I live here in Atlanta. I am an audio engineer / producer, work in the music industry, and I've been trading ICT, studying ICT since 2023, March. So I'm coming up, so I guess it's 3 years now. And so yeah. And as far as the, what's going on with the market with me right now, I've been having a lot of trouble. I guess around December, I thought I pretty much had it. I got my first payout December, second payout January, and since then I've been kind of struggling, which I'm sure a lot of people have with just, really getting the direction right, really being able to get that same, being on point like I was last year at the end of the year. And again, I thought I was doing great. I saw Top Step put out their numbers as far as the payouts, and I'm like, okay. So a lot of people was getting payouts in December and November and January. So maybe I didn't have it all the way together like I thought I did. So I'm just still studying, still, watching all the mentorships. I caught half of the mentorship this morning, and staying plugged into the spaces and everything. And it's definitely difficult, to stay on point right now. Like the last person was saying, with all the stresses of the economy and everything that's going on, you try to look to trading to be that extra. Michael teaches and everybody teaches as far as, not trying to get rich, but to take care of some bills and things of that nature. But it's just kind of hard to stay on point when the market is just going crazy. I was mainly trading gold. I started listening to TRU maybe about 2 years ago. And then, everybody was talking about, gold in Asia, the metals and things
yes,
of that nature.
So yes, sir.
Absolutely. So I started finding some consistency with gold, like I said. But just lately, it's just like, even with one micro contract, gold moves so fast. It's just like, because I usually, have like a 15-point stop, and my stop is just ruined very quickly. So I went back to MNQ, following Michael's teachings, and that's here or there. Sometimes I can kind of get in sync, sometimes not. I also was, been looking at MCL. And even this week I had maybe 3 different eval accounts. I lost all of them. I lost my Top Step funded account. I put a couple of dollars into.
Let me ask you real quick.
Yes, sir.
Would you agree that you lost all of those because you did not follow the correct protocol and that you let your emotions and feelings interject with your trading business?
When you say I didn't follow the protocol, what do you mean?
Well, I didn't take any trades. Michael didn't take any trades. Like, what makes you think that the protocol or the market conditions are such that? You just said you blew up how many accounts and you're engaging in a market that is less than optimal. Would you agree if you did not, or if you had not engaged in the market, you'd still have those accounts and you'd be a better steward towards that capital?
Absolutely. If I didn't engage, for sure. Absolutely.
So the idea, the protocol as ICT traders, we joke around about the FOMC and whatnot, but the market conditions, a lot of inside bars, are they optimal to trade?
Not necessarily. No, they're not.
Okay, it's identifying that, but I don't mean to break your balls. Go ahead, buddy. I'm not trying to be that guy. I understand what you're saying.
No, it's
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Do you feel that your previous payouts were kind of like inspirational for you to try to maybe trade more than you probably would have if you wouldn't have got the last two payouts? In other words, I guess what I'm saying is did you feel like you were pursuing a third payout more so than trying to stay reined in as a trader and not try to over trade? Does that make sense to you in terms of framing a catalyst as to why you went on tilt? Because maybe you're pursuing that third payout because you felt good getting the previous two and reaching, and obviously everything being expensive, knowing that payout would come would make you feel like, well, yeah, things are expensive, but I have this working for me. Did you feel those types of thoughts kind of like propel you into doing trading maybe more frequently, or at times when you probably may have in other times not done so?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say that I was still following the same protocol that I was following when I got the payouts. I was taking all of my trades and putting it in AI, and so I was learning what times work best for me. I was learning what direction worked best for me. So I kind of had all my data that was working for me. It's just that the conditions changed that were working for me. So I guess I didn't when it changed, I didn't adapt quick enough. And maybe I did get a little comfortable because I did get those payouts. Um, and maybe I did front run the move sometimes, but I don't really see where I changed up too much from what I was doing before, other than I didn't adapt quick enough once the markets became a lot more volatile. And I realized that gold was moving faster than what I could handle. So, through my data, I realized that, my success was coming more so in a lower ATR market. When the market moves a certain amount per day, I had more success. So because of that, that made me switch back to MNQ, and you know, I just felt like, I was getting faked out a lot. Um, so, you know, I I have to kind of attribute that to, it's more to learn. So
Can I ask you a question?
absolutely.
When you said that you lost the account or the eval, can
Hmm.
you answer the question in regards to just to say one of the evals? How many trades did it take for you to go through that eval? Like, in other words, how many transactions did you take before you were no longer allowed to use that one and you had to reset?
How many trades?
Yes, sir.
It was a slow burn, so it's not like I'm just running through the eval in a day or a week. It's just like, I'm risking $150 per trade, and typically I take two trades, $300 per day. So two trades, and I'm done. So it was a slow burn. It took me a couple of weeks to actually go through it, and then in between that time, I'm having some successful weeks and
Gotcha.
some, but it's just like a slow burn. It's just like, some losses here, wins here, losses, but it's just more losses than wins. And recently, just listening to your latest spaces and your latest videos, I've been trying to lock in on the first presented fair value gap. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask you too. Was, even with the video you put out on Tuesday, the first presented fair value gap that you marked out, I think it was around 8:30 in the morning, and I can post the chart if that helps, because I already screenshotted it. But the first presented fair value gap that you marked out was different from the one that I marked out, because from what you taught, it was my understanding that you said the first presented fair value gap only happens between that 30-minute period, and it happens after liquidity has been swept. Is that correct?
Well, it wouldn't be the opening range first visit fair value gap if you were seeing it in eight o'clock hour. So that would be before 9:30 opening
Well, that's what I
Eastern
meant.
time.
9:30. I'm sorry, not from
Okay, okay.
9:30 to 10.
Um, my selection for fair value gaps are directly linked to gradient levels based on inefficiencies and ranges that I've defined I've been teaching this year. Also, I already have a predetermined expectation on what I want to see price action do. In other words, I have a draw on liquidity, I have a narrative I think it may try to implement framing that first hour of trading. And then I look for that displacement in that fair value gap. So it's not just simply there's a gap there. It's the first one that happened. That's not enough for me. I'm actually teaching the whole process of what I did was when I discovered this element of first presentation, this whole process of which one do I use and how do I define that and what rules and parameters, how did that morph into what I use today? When I first saw the concept, it was simply pick the first one. If you do, you'll see many trades form, but sometimes you won't get a signal for others. And that'll be a source of frustration for you, like it was for me, but you'll grow through that. By learning to anticipate what you think the market's going to do, then looking for it to displace in that narrative, in that direction, supporting that trade idea, that's what I use it for. So it's the first presented fair value gap that fits the narrative and the criteria I'm looking for within my model. That's the technical term and terminology, and it's the definition you're going to see in the book. So you got it for free here. I gave it right to you, but that's what I'm doing. I'm taking everything and placing them in the right place at the right time, and that's why I'm using the fair value gaps that I say is first presented, and that's why they're working the way they do. There's more criteria than just simply it's first appeared.
Okay, so bias first, and then it's the next fair value gap after the bias is formed. Not
Not so much
necessarily a sweep.
bias. Not
Okay.
narrative is not bias.
Okay.
Narrative is how a price delivery will unfold. It could, in other words, if you think it's going to go higher, it may go down and take out a short-term low before it does that. It may trade down into a discount fair value gap before going higher. If I'm bullish, I'm looking for a criteria that allows for either the first presented fair value gap to perform as an inversion fair value gap. So think I'm bullish. If I see the first presented fair value gap with displacement, that's going to be a SIBI. In other words, it's a down closed candle. In my mind already, it's fitting criteria that this is going to act as an inversion fair value gap. So now I'm going to wait for it to trade above it, come back down, validate that inversion fair value gap, keep price out of the lower half of it. That means I'm on side. Order flow is signaling to me that I am bullish. I can go long at consequent encroachment or up to its high, anywhere in there. But if it spikes a candlestick wick down in there, I won't be fearful of not taking that trade once it validates it. Once it comes back down, it can do that. And it's completely permissible as long as the bodies stay out of it. And I'll just keep parlaying and building the position up as long as I have the equity to do so. And then I'll just ride it up to whatever the draw is on liquidity. So it's not just simply, here's the first gap that forms. It's the first gap that forms within the context of the expectation I hold over price action, which is narrative. The bias, I'm actually trading outside of bias because I'm trading only in the first hour trading. I don't need a bias. Like I have zero bias lately because I don't trust higher time frame bias because we're in this larger long-term consolidation. So by removing the necessity for knowing bias, I'm just looking for what's the current narrative right now, what are they going to run for, who are they going to hurt right now, and that's what I'm doing. When we move to a trending environment again, then I'll go back to doing other things and I'll teach you now I'm applying this. So I'm always teaching over real live market conditions. I'm not cherry picking, looking at hindsight. So it gives you that ebb and flow that you're going to have to work within as a trader using these concepts. So that way you're not going to be fearful of whatever's going on, whatever happens. And right now I'm learning that my concepts still work really, really well in these difficult market conditions. It just means that I have to just dial back my frequency and intensity.
Okay. Okay. That answers a lot. I think I was looking at it because I was looking at the first presented fair value gap as far as like if it's bullish or bearish, then that's kind of what I'm looking for as far as my bias moving into that session. So I have to just change the way I'm looking at that and come up with a narrative and use that to form my narrative and how I form my trade. I think that's what I'm hearing you say. And then I go back and listen to this space and and
Yes,
really perform.
sir. Yes, sir, Jack Brown. You'll want to do that.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you sharing your experience, though. I mean, it's not an easy thing being honest and telling everybody that it ain't always winning. And the fact that I love hearing all of you be honest and you come up here, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and you say, "Look, this is what I'm going through. This is what I went through. This is what I suffered through this." You didn't get a chance, and I apologize for interrupting you if you were going to get to it. But could you, before you move over to another caller, Kitt, could you let him give his view on what he does to keep motivated and just take the spaces out? That's fine. I understand that part. But you yourself, what are you doing? What things? I know you said you're into music and you do other things. Do you pour yourself into your work, or do you do something like go to the gym, or maybe golf, or lift weights? Like what do you do to distance yourself from the trading when you've hurt yourself and draw down and you like, okay, I'm not gonna stay in this state of mind where I'm beating myself up. I'm gonna take this energy I'm feeling and this challenge and something else. So what is it that you found yourself doing that's been effective for you?
When I'm going through difficult times trading, just like when I get out this space with you guys, I'm going to the park down the street. I'll do about 10,000 steps. Get into nature. I go at the park that I go. It's a little creek with water, and it's a little bench there. So I sit there, listen to the water, talk to God. I have 3 kids, so my kids motivate me. I have my own studio, so a lot at nighttime I'm getting to work with different artists, and that stuff keeps me motivated and keeps me happy. But just life in general, just trying to get to the next level, trying to be able to supplement my income and lock this trading thing in. That's the motivating factor. So trying to keep my mind off of trading when I'm not doing it, but at the end of the day, when I'm not actually involved in trading, I'm listening to past spaces, I'm riding the car, listening to other traders. So my mind is always on it. I'm always thinking about it, but I just try to stay motivated when I'm taking, because at the end of the day, I know that I know the stuff. I've been studying it for 3 years, and I know that I understand it at a level that's higher than a lot of people, but I still haven't been able to perfect it, which I'm sure perfection is something that I never get to. But I just try to
I'm
stay
still working
motivated.
on perfection, just so you know. I know what you mean, but even still, with 34 years, I've yet to perfect it. I'm still striving
Absolutely.
for it, though.
Yes, sir.
Because
So
it's us versus the concepts, right? So the perfection, I mean, the concepts are the concepts, and it's us and how we deal with ourselves and how we utilize them, right? It really becomes how we utilize our tools and our tools within the market. There's a lot of introspection there. There's a lot of reflection there.
yes, sir. And I appreciate you guys for letting me come up and talk. And,
High five.
and thank you, Michael, for
It
everything
was
you
great
do.
listening
Thank
to
you,
you.
Kitt.
Yeah, high
It was
five,
great
Jack.
listening to you, man.
Yes, sir.